Hello gorgeous peeps, I'm Chris from TechSpert and I'm here today with the Honor 9X Pro. This bad boy is going to cost you just 250 quid when it hits the UK imminently, or 250 euros if you are European. Hello Europeans, I still love you even though I'm British. There's no Google services on board, but what you do get is some pretty slick hardware for that price, including Huawei's still very capable Kirin 810 chipset, complete with a bit of liquid cooling for all of your gaming needs. You've also got a 4000 mAh battery, a triple lens rear camera and all kinds of other stuff. So let's get it all unboxed, set up and take a tour of that hardware and that software. And for more of the latest greatest tech, please do plug subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! So there's the actual phone itself. Just going to slap that aside for now, just have a quick scan of the rest of the box. Looks like it's going to be pretty straightforward stuff. So you get a rubber prophylactic case thing to help keep your Honor 9X Pro nice and safe and secure. You've also got a pokey pin device to actually get your SIM in the thing. And of course you've got a USB cable and an adapter for charging. This is the 2-pin European adapter because it's a European review model. If you buy it here in the UK, of course, you'll get your 3-pin adapter as usual, and it's a bit Type-C charging as well. So that's the highly exciting box contents. Now let's actually check out this rather gorgeously stunning Phantom Purple Honor 9X Pro. So you can pick this phone up in a couple of different hues. This is the Phantom Purple, as you can see there, with its funky X-style design on the back, just as it catches the light just so. Loving a bit of that. But if that's just too much excitement for you, you want something a bit more sedate, you can pick up the Honor 9X Pro in just a plain old standard black as well. The colour and pattern aside, it's not vastly different from any of the other Honor smartphones that I've tested out recently, or indeed any of the other sort of budget-friendly £200 to £300 handsets. A quick tour of the rest of the phone. So as you can see there, you got your Type-C USB port, and you've also got a headphone jack down below. Great stuff. A bit of edge-mounted fingerprint sensor over here on the right side, as well as your volume rocker. Up top, you've got your SIM tray and a pop-up selfie camera as well. And it's certainly got decent heft to it as well at 202 grams, so you'll certainly feel this when it's slapped away in your pocket. Right, looks like we've got some gas in the tank, so I'm going to get it all set up now, and then we're going to take a proper full-on tour of the Honor 9X Pro's hardware and software. And the good news is, when you want to slip your SIM card inside this bad boy, you've got room for 2 SIMs, otherwise a single SIM, and a microSD memory card up to 512 gigs. So whiz forward 10 minutes and the Honor 9X Pro is all set up and ready for action. Now, of course, as I mentioned before, no Google services, unfortunately, just like the recent Huawei handsets. So what you get instead is the likes of the Huawei app gallery, and of course you've got third-party stores like Amazon's App Store, which you can use to download your apps from as well. So obviously not ideal if you're a bit of a Google fan, use a lot of the Google services like Google Calendar, Gmail, things like that. Thankfully, there are a lot of third-party options that you can use to get the likes of your Gmail account on there, and alternatives to Google Maps like maps.me, for instance. And of course, you can access other stuff like YouTube via the web browser as well. It's not an ideal setup, but Honor itself has said that this phone, the Honor 9X Pro, is not for the average consumer. And of course, Huawei's got plenty of clout behind it, so I'm pretty sure that app gallery is going to start filling up with some of the more popular apps here in the West very shortly. Now, if we dive on into the About Phone section, you'll see that unfortunately the Honor 9X Pro is currently running the older EMUI 9.1.1 slapped on top of Android version 9 as well, but apparently testing is ongoing with a bit of EMUI version 10, the latest version, on top of Android 10, of course. So hopefully that'll be coming in the next sort of month or two. We will see. So unfortunately, no dark mode support or anything like that here on the Honor 9X Pro just yet, but hopefully you'll see it coming soon. You do get the swipey navigation at least, so that's something. Bit of other gesture support and everything as well, and the likes of that digital balance screen time management as well, so you don't spend all day long on Facebook. And so far, touch wood, that edge-mounted fingerprint sensor definitely seems to do the job. As you can see there, it does double as the power button, but you don't actually need to push it in when you're unlocking your device. Just lightly tap your print to the surface of the sensor, and as you can see, you're straight in. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's any way to get a bit of face unlock on the go, probably because that pop-up selfie camera is rather on the slow side, so it'd probably be actually faster just to type in your pin or whatever. Of course, one of the benefits of that pop-up selfie cam is you get this gorgeous full view finish here on the 6.59-inch IPS display. There's no troublesome little notches or pinhole jobbies or anything like that intruding on the action. The full HD resolution is keeping things reasonably crisp, despite the fact it's a 6.6-inch beast. As you can see, the viewing angles and everything are absolutely fine, and on top brightness, it'll definitely do the job. And let's just see how those speakers are doing. So as you can see there, it's just a mono speaker setup, just this bottom effort here. If you cover it up, everything will be muffled.
In fact.
But the good news is that on the top volume level, the clarity is pretty decent, and it's probably just about strong enough to cut through some fairly horrific background noise as well. And of course, you've got that headphone jack, where is it? There's the bad boy, if you actually do need to slap in a pair of wired phones. Also, where the Honor 9X Pro really impresses is the performance side of things, because it's got Huawei's Kirin 810 chipset stacked inside. It's a 7nm platform. It actually sports a neural processing unit as well, which is pretty unheard of at this sort of price point. So hopefully that should really help out when it comes to the likes of the optics. Get some really nice smart camera features on there, nice swift performance as well. And as far as gaming goes as well, as long as your game of choice is available via the likes of the app gallery, of course, then you can expect super silky smooth performance. Certainly helped along by the fact that you got 6 gigs of RAM stuffed inside this thing. I'm also expecting some pretty stellar battery performance from this thing as well. It's got a 4000 mAh cell stuffed inside, so I reckon that will easily see you through a very intense day, especially knowing the general energy efficiency of a Motion UI. It's usually pretty impressive stuff. You got usual power saving modes and all that shenanigans on there if you need it as well. And no worries as for the storage either, because you get 256 gigs stuffed inside here, which is pretty rare for, again, a budget blower around that sort of 200 to 250 pound price point, plus the microSD expandability too. So as you can see, some very clever hardware overall here on the Honor 9X Pro, especially given the wallet-friendly cost, and hopefully that'll continue with the camera tech. What you actually get is a 48 megapixel primary lens, pretty standard these days, even for quite cost-effective handsets. It's an f1.8 aperture, and that's backed by an 8 megapixel wide angle lens and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. The camera app will of course be immediately familiar to any Honor fans. As you can see there, you've got all your standard modes, including good old portrait mode to get a nice bit of bokeh action behind your subject, complete with various effects. You got your night mode to shoot a long exposure shot, and that'll just help to make them nice and bright if it is a low light environment. If you flip along to more, you've got a even bigger selection of bonus modes, including full pro controls. As you can see there, that'll just allow you to fiddle around with the likes of the white balance, the shutter speed, to allow you to get a very precise kind of result. And of course, as usual, you've got that AI mode toggled on by default, but you can knock it off if you want, and that just helps to breathe a bit of life into some of your photos, make some of those more vibrant colors a little bit more vivid, and it can also suggest certain other modes at appropriate times as well. And if you need to get a different viewpoint at any time, you can swap to that ultra wide angle lens with a quick tap down there. Otherwise, a tap up here activates a bit of 2x digital zoom action. Weirdly though, when I go to video and I dive into the resolution settings, it seems to top off at 1080p rather than 4K, which is pretty much standard these days, even among budget blowers. So not really sure what's going on there. I've tried restoring the defaults, and that doesn't seem to help at all. And then of course swap around to that 16 megapixel front facing camera, and you can shoot yourself a glamorous selfie or two, complete with the usual portrait smarts and everything. Mirror on or mirror off, either way that ain't a keeper. And there you have it. That in a nutshell is the Honor 9X Pro, as I say, coming to the UK imminently for 250 quid, which is pretty bargainous considering the hardware on board this thing. Some incredible smarts indeed. It's a real shame it doesn't have that Google service support, but you know what, there are workarounds for pretty much all of the standard stuff that you would get involved with anyway. So what are your thoughts on the Honor 9X Pro? Definitely would be great to hear from you down below in the comments. Please do put subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Let's just stare at that gorgeous X design for a little bit longer. Stunning stuff. And have yourselves a lovely week, people. Cheers. Love you.